Welcome to the Sanskrit Podcast, where the ideas of ancient India meet the modern world. My guest today is a performer and teacher. Her name is Ramaa Bharadvaj. She has lived in the US for over 25 years and recently moved back to India to create, design and head up the dance program at Chinmaya Nadabindu in Pune. I have watched Ramaa's dance performances and they are, as we say, Roma Harsha, which is spine-tingling. Welcome, Ramaa. It is a delight to have you. Namaste.
Wonderful to be here, Shobha.
Today we are going to talk to Ramaa about mudras, or the science of science, as she calls it. And it is about the cryptic, the curative, and the communicative aspects of these hand gestures that are so much a part of the dance forms of India. So, Ramaa, let us begin by talking. We talk about Hasta and we talk about mudra, and I'm not sure I know the difference between the two.
Yes, so these two words are actually used interchangeably. But actually there is a major difference between a Hasta and a mudra. I'd like to define it this way. Hasta is a sign language which is created to take an internal idea into the external world.
Okay.
So we use it in communication. Whereas mudra is it's a sign, it's a symbol, it's an insignia that is used to bring an idea from the external world to facilitate a journey inwards.
So the opposite.
Opposite. So there is a very nice word, Sanskrit word. Mudra is supposed to be a combination of two words, Modanath and Dravanath. So Modanath is to cause delight, to bring joy, Modati, and Dravanath is to make something run away. So what is creating Modati for what? Modanath Sarvadevanam, for all the gods. So there it's the ritualistic aspect of mudra is emphasized, and then Dravanath Papa Santate.
To make all your
papas. And what is papa? Papa is misery. Misery, wretchedness, ill auspiciousness, all those things are called papa. So what?
Not sins.
Well, what is sin? If you really think about it, what is sin? Sin is a state of being in which you are miserable. Right? And and what causes this misery and wretchedness? It is sickness. And I don't mean sickness of the body, I mean mostly sickness of the mind. That it is through that you stay in a state of hell. And sin is supposed to be, taking you to the state of hell. So mudras are supposed to be healing for the mind and for the body. So by removing that dis-ease state, it drives away this papa, this misery, this wretchedness.
Okay.
So that is Modanath and Dravanath. That is combination is called mudra. So a mudra is something which is used in ritual, and then it has curative aspect as well.
Okay.
So that is one thing. And then finger gestures are an important part of mudra. Okay. But mudra is not limited to finger
really?
gestures.
I thought it was just...
No.
Okay.
In fact, there are 5 groups of mudras.
Okay.
So one aspect is the Hasta mudra, which is used, finger gestures. So we have the chin mudra, and then, the jnana mudra, and then you have the Hridaya mudra, and then of course you have the famous Yoni mudra. They are all used, for meditation purposes.
Yeah.
And then you have what are called mana mudras. There you use different parts for the mind to turn inwards. So you have the Nasikagra mudra, where the eyes are focused on the tip of the nose, and then you have the Shambhavi mudra, eyes are focused in the tip of the eyebrow center. And then the Kechari mudra, where the tongue is rolled, the underside of the tongue touches the top of the palate. So these are all mana mudras. And then you have Kaya mudras, where the whole body is used. Like the Viparita Karani mudra, which is like a shoulder stand done at an angle. So, and then there are also Adhara mudras, which are relating to the perennial region of the body, and then bandha mudras, where locking, the throat center at the digestive center and all that. So a mudra is a lock, it's a symbol, it's a sign.
Something that gives
for the
delight.
energy flow.
Okay.
For energy flow.
Okay.
So and this is the first difference. The second difference is Hasta being a communicative tool.
Yeah.
It is held. How long is a hasta held? A hasta is held only as long as it is necessary to depict the words that it is representing.
Got it.
For example, a deer. I'll say this. A deer quickly ran into the forest. So if you have to show it in hasta form, the words are not there. A deer leaped and ran into the forest. So listen to the voice modulation here. And then a deer slowly sneaked into the forest.
Okay.
You see? So it is only as long as the words is. So it's not, the hasta is not just about the deer or the forest. It's about the intonation, the voice modulation, and the bhava that would go with the dialogue, which is being represented by the.
So it's as if the hands are speaking.
Speaking.
And as long as the sentence is, that's as long as the.
That's long. That's
okay.
as long as it is.
Okay, got it.
But a mudra, on the other hand, it has a specific intent, a purpose. It is held for much longer, and then it is also supported by an emotion. For example, if you want to cure yourself, or if you're doing a certain kind of a prayer or a ritual, so it is to be supported with that emotion and then that intent, and it is held for a much longer period. So so for example, in this deer example, this gesture doesn't have any symbolism behind it. It's
correct.
Just, but in a mudra there is a deeper symbolism. So it's one object, and then it has much deeper significance. And I will take one example. When you go to Indian temples, sometimes you see the image of a turtle or a tortoise.
Correct.
That is outside. So you wonder, why do you have a turtle at the entrance?
And the bottom of the Dvijastambham I've seen.
You've seen turtles. The idea there is, the turtle represents, when prodded from the outside, the turtle will draw in all its 5 organs, the head and then the 4 legs, body parts, and it will go into the shell. So by looking at that, now that turtle there is a mudra.
Oh.
It's a symbol, it's a sign, it's an insignia. So when you look at it, when you go to the temple, instead of being prodded by the outer external stimuli, you have to draw your 5 senses in and stay in a state of meditation. This is the idea.
Okay.
So that is why it's there as a mudra, it's a symbol to remind you of a much deeper significance.
Correct.
So in meditation, there is actually a mudra, it's called the kurma mudra. Okay, dance kurma is done this way, but in meditation, it is done this way. And then you sit in meditation. You use that symbol, that insignia, to sit in meditation. So it's supposed to be, so this way,
okay,
right, and then interlock,
okay,
and
okay,
right, and then the thumb should touch this wrist area here,
okay,
and then this little finger touches here, and then you are activating certain points, and then you sit in meditation.
okay.
So this symbol is also used, and then also the famous one of Arjuna's chariot, right? So I think it's Kathopanishad describes it as that is a mudra. What does it signify? The chariot is the body, and Arjuna is the jivatma, the person who's riding this, within that body, and then the charioteer, in this case it would be Krishna, would be either buddhi, intellect, or it would be Paramatma, and then the horses are the 5 senses. The rein is the mind. Right? So using the
imagery,
intellect, using the intellect's wisdom, when you control the 5 organs with the mind, then your path, your chariot, and you will be in the right track.
Okay.
Okay. And if you actually look at Bhagavad Gita, the entirety, that's what it's talking about. It's giving methods of how to do that, how to be that.
Okay.
So
Is there a source text for mudras, or it's culled from various places?
Well, for healing mudras, there is an entire science called Mudra Vigyan. And then traditionally what it is said is, Natya Shastra talks about this, there is a story, and the world was in a state of chaos, and then the wisdom of the 4 Vedas could not reach the people, and so all the gods went to Brahma, and then they asked, can you create something for the layman, way of the wisdom of the Vedas to reach the layman. And so he took the essence of the 4 Vedas. He took poetry from Rig Veda, music from Sama Veda, gestures from Yajur Veda, he says, and then rasa or aesthetic sense from Atharva Veda, and he created Natya Veda and gave it as a gift to humankind. So when you look at it that way, in some way, the Vedas already have a source of these gestures. So some of the gestures you will find, I'll talk about it a little bit later, you will find they are used in dance, they are used in ritual, they are used in curative aspect also.
Okay.
So now I wanted to talk about...
Yeah, how does one mudra incarnate into the other? Is that what you wanted to talk about, or something?
Yeah. Before I go there, when you say... So we won't use the word mudra. We will use the word hasta.
Okay.
Because hasta is a communicative gesture.
Okay.
Okay, so the hasta... We think that only in dance or a theater, hasta is used. Not so. In everyday life also, we use hasta. How many people talk without moving their arms? Right? We do gestures.
Correct.
And there are very simple gestures that people do every day. They don't realize. They don't call it as hasta or gesture. It's born out of habit mostly.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it is done to emphasize a point.
Correct.
Okay, to strengthen your communication. So the one thing that comes to mind is Bill Clinton.
Yes.
Bill Clinton. No,
Right.
he did this.
Oh.
This is what he did. Okay? And do you know where he got this from? He actually used to watch John F. Kennedy. And Kennedy used to do this. Now, what is the significance behind this? Now, people who are in the public eye, and who are public speakers, they don't simply come up with whatever movement they are doing randomly. They are very conscious, body conscious. And so when you we already talked about this mudra being not just relating to the hands, but the entire body. The entire body is a sign language in dance also. So this hasta is not just related to this. So the idea is this. Now, what is this?
Strength.
Right?
I'm telling you.
Telling you, forcefully saying something, emphatically saying something, aggressive.
Yes.
Okay? Now in India, I have seen, I watch politicians talking, they use this gesture a lot.
Yes.
This single finger, right?
Yes.
That is also very authoritative.
Yes.
Now this gesture is a mix of, it's neither this nor this. It's a mix of both.
Yes.
So he's being emphatic without being threatening.
It's not pointing especially, but it's actually forceful.
Yeah. So it's not a fist, but this finger has come out of it. So it's a combination of both.
Yes.
Right? So he uses that. So like this, if you actually study everyday people, you will find. And then I just thought this will be kind of a fun thing for our viewers and for you to do also.
Yeah.
I will show some everyday hastas that people do every day.
Yeah.
You tell me what they mean to you.
Okay.
And then you will realize that, we are actually using hasta. We are all dancing every day in our life.
Yeah.
Okay, so I made a list here.
Oh, buck, 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 buck. They're just keeping on talking.
Yes.
Oh, let me think. Let me come up with the idea. Oh, I hope it works. I hope it works. Good luck. You come here, either threatening or seductive.
Okay. And then...
Good, victory.
And then...
No good, no good. Excellent.
Facebook. Right?
Yeah, likes.
Right? And then...
Don't you dare do it. If you do it, this is what you're going to get. Shh, be quiet.
Yeah, silence, right? And then...
What time is it? Hey, well done.
Excellent. You see?
Yeah.
So don't we use hastas every day in our life?
Yeah, we totally do.
Yeah, and then in dance, what happens is these natural gestures of the body have been stylized, have been codified. And we have two texts for dancers. One is the Natya Shastra, which is very old, and then we have the Abhinaya Darpana, which is much later. So most dancers follow the guidelines from these two texts. So Natya Shastra is supposed to list some more than 60 gestures. Some are single-handed, some are combined-handed. And then there are specific ones used only for rhythmic dance, where it's not used for storytelling part.
Like which ones would be for?
I'm not very familiar with the Natya Shastra gestures, so I don't want to go there. But Abhinaya Darpana, for example, would have 28 gestures of single hand, 23 gestures of double hand. These are very common. Most dancers know this. Pataka, Tripataka, Ardha Pataka, Kartari Mukha, Mayura, Ardha Chandra, Arala, Shukatunda. And they like that. List, And then Anjali, Kapota, Karkataka, Swastika. So double-handed gestures. But this gesture, just by itself, means nothing.
Yeah.
So how does it, now we will come to this prana thing. So how does a gesture take on a meaning? So Dr. Sunil Kothari, who is a very well-known dance scholar, he was visiting me when I was living in California. And we were talking about this one day, and he said something very beautiful. He said, the gesture is like a corpse, dead body. Right? Now, it incarnates when you put prana into it. So I call it prana, not in the sense of breath, but life force into it. I'm using this as because I did the deer, I'm just using this as an example. Prana or life force into it.
Okay.
And when this prana is put into it, then it incarnates, into various forms. So I'll take one gesture. We did the Bill Clinton gesture.
Yes.
No? So in dance, we call it Kapita.
Okay.
Kapita gesture. It actually has a name.
Okay.
And it is, in Abhinaya Darpana, it falls under the single-handed gesture.
This is for
Asamyuta Hasta.
peacock? No, parrot.
No, it's the Kapita is wood apple. So don't ask me why it doesn't look like a wood apple. But it's Kapita Pala for Ganesha. So Kapita this is the name of the gesture.
Okay.
So now, if you use this gesture, and just to show you how it incarnates, you use it horizontally, moving, churning butter, right? Or pulling a temple chariot, right? Now, if you use it vertically, water from a well, or milking a cow, or hanging decorations. You see how this gesture, the meaning has changed, activity has changed. And then curvilinear, painting a picture, covering yourself with a veil, pallu, garlanding, right? And then waving a lamp or an incense at a deity. So it's curvilinear.
Yes.
And then if you use it horizontally, it's like drawing
the
arrow from the holder. So the activity will change depending on. So this gesture doesn't mean that, it's wood apple, I have to show it for wood apple.
It seems like a musical note that changes depending on what you string it together with.
Very nice. Then what we do is we add color, and I say this very clearly. We can add color, we can add shape and texture through a gesture.
How do you do that?
Yeah, and I have an example here. There is this famous poetry of Tulsidas' song, Ramachandra Kripalu Bhajamana. Very famous, everybody knows that. There is one line there, Kanja Lochana, Kanja Mukha, Karakanja, Pada Kanjaruna.
Okay.
So you have lotus like eyes, Kanja is lotus. You have eyes like lotus, and you have face like lotus, arms like lotus, and feet like lotus.
Okay.
So generally a beginner dancer, this is well. Kanja Lochana, Kanja Mukha, Karakanja, Pada Kanjaruna. There's nothing wrong in it, but it doesn't add anything. It's just mirroring the words.
Correct.
Now, how do we create life to it, prana to it? So I was choreographing this piece, and then I said, you can't just, a poet of that caliber is not going to just use these lotuses. Lotuses, just throw them around, right?
Yeah.
So then this came to me, and this is how I choreographed. So when he's talking about Kanja Lochana, it is not the lotus itself, but the petal of the lotus, the shape. Kanja Dalaya Dakshi.
Yes.
Muthuswami Dikshitas, right? So, Kanja Lochana. There you have created shape of a component of the lotus, not the full lotus. And then you have Kanja Mukha. There is the full lotus, the whole lotus, right? So, Kanja Mukha. Then when I was doing this, another thought came to my mind. So if it is Kanja Lochana, if it is a lotus flower, then there has to be a bee. Bees are attracted. So what is the bee? Sita is looking at Rama's face. Her eyes are dark, and her eyes are like bees hovering around this lotus. You see how we have created poetry?
Yes.
Immediately?
Yes.
So this is the idea of developing this gesture.
Adding layers of color, texture.
And poetry to a gesture. And then Karakanja. There, what he's talking about is the color, the pink color of the lotus for the hands. Right? So how do you show pink color? So it is the brightness. You show it. So instead of this, Karakanja. So it's brighter than the rest of them.
Correct.
And then Padakanja. That is softness. I don't think you can imagine Rama with cracked heels.
Yes. In spite of the forest, he had great
feet. So that softness, right? So, Pada Kanjaruna. And then Sri Ram, there will be, because it is a dance, you will go back to some kind of a refrain that is repeated.
Correct.
So this is a bhajan, and mostly dancers dance it this way. They will use this gesture like singing, or this kind of stuff. But I thought that would just take away from the rasa that we have just created with all this layers of the lotus. So I added this. The refrain for me was, to this flower, I offer flowers.
Shri Ram.
Right?
Okay.
I offer flowers. And then suddenly I realized, you're yourself a flower, and I'm offering these little flowers to you? Nah. So now I'll offer the lotus of my heart to you. This is how I continued.
One more layer.
I continued it. And then this lotus of the heart is not just a poetic thing. This is a concept that actually comes from Tantra. Because according to Tantra, we have the vortexes, energy vortexes, the chakras in the body.
Yes.
And each of this chakra is represented as a lotus flower with certain number of petals.
Yeah, there seems to be specific, this many lotus petals.
Yes, so the Mooladhara, the base perennial has four petals. And the Sahasrara
has 64 or something.
No, 1,000.
1,000
petals. And this one has 2 petals. Okay, and then you have the heart center, which has, that lotus is supposed to have 12 petals. Vishuddhi has 16 and then 12. There are certain numbers there.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I'm talking about this petal, and this is the center for love, for unconditional love, for surrender. This is the center. Anahata chakra. Okay. So when I'm talking about this, there's the idea of, I've drawn an idea from Tantra. And I don't have to explain all this to the audience. I know the intent, and I just do it, and people who are familiar with it will get it, and that's that aha.
Yeah.
Balay Sabash moment. And for those who don't get it, because the intent is very strong, they'll get the emotion of it. So it's not necessary that they have to understand. It's not like a lecture demonstration.
Correct. It's like you said about Bharata kind of putting the concise forms of all the Vedas and then offering it as a gesture.
Yeah. Brahma did that. Brahma took the essence of all the 4 Vedas, and then he created Natya Veda and gave it as a gift to Bharata, and he said, you take it to the world.
Okay.
So that's how it came. That's how it is. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is, so we talked about adding color, texture and shape to a gesture. Emphasizing energy. By using an energy, you can take one single gesture, an object for example, and you can place it in different people's hands.
This is still in the Hasta stage?
Hasta stage.
Okay.
Hasta is very fascinating because for dancers, many times, dancers know this, but audience, a lay person, they'll go and sit and then they'll say, See, if you don't understand, it's like a language.
Yeah.
If you don't understand it, it's like sitting and listening or watching someone talk to you for 1 hour and you don't know what the heck they are saying.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So it's a language, and these kinds of things kind of help them to understand the language.
Yes. So again, cultivation of the arts, knowledge of the arts improves your enjoyment of it.
Absolutely.
But
Rasa.
rasa improves.
So that is why, we talk about Sahridaya.
Correct.
What is that term? That means of the same mind, of the same heart.
Yes.
So it means they must also know how to experience this
How
Baba.
you are of your experience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that it
you are
leads to
putting
Brahmananda Sahodara.
Yeah.
You become like the Brahmanandam that you get from reaching the divine, you get from through
this.
Okay.
Because, in any other aspect in life, are you happy crying? No. But in dance, theatre, you go and sit, and then there'll be this really sad scene. They'll cry and they'll feel very happy about crying.
Yes. Therapeutic tears. Yeah.
Right? So that's what it is. So now this energy, emphasizing
How
energy.
do you get energy?
We'll take this common gesture of holding a bow and an arrow.
Okay.
Okay, so holding a bow and an arrow. So the object doesn't change. But if you look at mythology or iconography or whatever it is, who are all the characters that you can think of that will hold bow and arrow? First thing that comes to mind is Rama.
Of course.
Right? Rama. Now Rama's brother Lakshmana also held a bow and arrow.
Correct.
And then you have Rama, since we did Rama, we'll say Kama. Cupid
Yes.
also holds a bow and arrow. And then you have Arjuna, the warrior, who holds the bow and arrow.
Yes.
And then you have, in Tamil Saivite, you have Kannappa Nayanar Charitram. Kannappa was a hunter in the forest. He also held a bow and arrow. So simply by giving this gesture of bow and arrow, can you
Give that emphasize the energy.
emphasize the energy of that particular character?
Okay.
Right? So Rama, for example, has an energy. Now the same bow and arrow, without changing anything, Lakshmana. You see, he's restless and he is impatient, and he doesn't tolerate. Rama is all patience.
Serene
Rama is all patience, but Lakshmana is all about protecting Rama. So
Yes.
he doesn't have that kind of
Energy.
patience. And then
Kama.
you have, Kama. No, Arjuna, I'll do Arjuna. Arjuna, warrior.
Majestic. warrior.
Majestic. Okay. And then you have Kama. Kama and they're both sneaky. The hunter and Cupid, they're both sneaky. Right? So now, it's kind of sadistic also, Kama is. But a hunter, because when a hunter is aiming
Little
at...
coarser.
Yeah, of course. No, not only that. When a hunter is aiming at an animal, there is a chance of that attacking him. So there is fear also in him, a little bit, cautiousness. But Cupid, you don't know when he's attacking you.
Yes.
You just fall prey to it. Right? So this is...
The same hasta with multiple. So you have
energy changes and the character changes. So
Changes.
this is very important. Simply because I have a bow and arrow to stand and I've been taught how to hold a Rama gesture, I can't take that energy into all the characters.
Correct.
Okay, this is one thing. And then there is building a character. Gestures are used to build attributes to a character.
Yes.
There is a song about Vishnu, let us say.
Yes.
Okay, Vishnu is portrayed as like this. Okay, and what it means is holding the conch and the discus.
Okay.
Okay, you imagine the discus there and imagine the conch here.
Yeah.
Okay, this is used. So now how many times can you just show this gesture in a song if the Vishnu is repeated several times? So you can show various attributes of Vishnu. The one who is holding the conch and the discus, and then this weapon called the mace, and then the lotus flower, the one who rides on the Garuda, okay, and then who sleeps on the
Adishesha.
Adisesha, the serpent, bed of serpent. So like this
You
can
use your hasta to add layers of personality to the god.
And then when people are looking at it, this is why it's a cultural context is important. So if a person is not familiar with all this cultural
The imagery and the iconography, it's hard to understand.
it's hard for them to understand.
Correct.
But when you know it, this Vishnu is kind of coming to life in front of you.
Stages, yeah.
Right? The same thing with Shiva, you can do that for Devi and for Ganesha. All the various attributes you can build. So gestures are used in dance for building attributes to a character. And then I talked about the cultural context. There, to symbolize wedding or marriage, in Indian dance we use this. Why? Because of the Mangala Sutra. And anybody who is Indian will know that. But when I was living in the United States, this doesn't mean anything to them. Probably it's like, although maybe some marriages are like that.
Yes.
But so that's all it is. Why is marriage like this? Okay. So there, what would be the marriage symbol? You see? So the meaning, depending on the culture, a particular way, the way it is presented can also change. And you have to think about it.
Correct. You have to think of your audience.
Yeah, you have to think about your audience. And then the final thing I want to talk about when it comes to Hasta is, so we've been talking about gestures that are used in from Natya Shastra, Rabine Darpana, and their usages. Because each of the gestures has several vinyogas that are given. Usages. So, for example, the first one is Pataka, right? We read it, we learn it almost like a poetry. Natya Rambe Varivahe Vane Vastu Nishedane Kuchastale Nishayam Che Nadyam Amaramandale, like that. So, beginning of dance, and then cloud, Varivahe, Vane forest, saying no to an object, Vastu Nishedane, chest, Kuchastale, night time, Nisha, Nishayamcha, Nadyam, river, Amaramandale, heaven. So like this. For all the 51 gestures, there are vinyogas.
Okay.
So we learn them, and then on top of that, we also create.
Yes.
So does creation happen? Do we stay with only these gestures, or does creation happen? Creation happens. And I want to share 2 or 3 examples for you. I was choreographing a piece where we had owls,
Owls.
birds.
Yes.
And crows.
Okay.
They have to enter and fight.
Okay.
This is the scene. So they had fantastic music, original music set by Rajkumar Bharati for this. And so now the crows are entering. Crows, I knew what to do. Crow is the entire body gesture, The crow looks like this, and then walks. 2 walks and then it suddenly leaps. So it was very nice to have this group of crows enter from that way. Now how do you show the owls? I didn't want to do this gesture. That's too classy, and these owls are these night creatures and they have to be kind of eerie and they have to match these crows. They can't be just classy birds like, doves flying or anything.
Yeah.
So I created this gesture. When you think of owl, what's the important part of the owl?
The eyes and the head.
Right? So I did this. I have to flex my wrist very much before I do this, so I'll attempt it now.
Okay.
Yes.
That's the one that they were all using.
Yeah. So all the dancers entered with this gesture. The entry was like this. Right? And then the crows were entering like that. So immediately you're creating drama.
Yeah.
Then when they're dancing, of course, this comes off and they do different things with their arms. So this is a gesture that I created to show owl. So it's almost like a mask that you're doing with your fingers. And another one was a fight between a spider and an elephant. This was a scene. This is my sister Uma and I, we created this together.
What is it called, in case somebody wants to look it up on YouTube? What is the dance?
I don't think it's on YouTube.
On YouTube, okay.
So this was, we had to create this, and it was a jati, an entire jati that was done, very beautiful jati. Okay, and
what is a jati, Rama?
Jati is it's a dance language. We say, when we have rhythmic words that are recited as a solkattu. Ta kuttane kujane kutakane ku. Those kinds of things. So that is set in a pattern to a certain count of tala, whatever tala you have selected. We call it a jati. So it was set like that. It was not a song. And the elephant was easy. I could use, the ears are moving, the trunk is moving, the leg is moving, the whole body. How do you do a spider? And I wanted the spider to remain spidery.
Spidery.
Spidery. So Uma and I, we created this gesture.
Of course.
We held it at the face. This is it. It never changed.
Okay.
And the entire jati was done with leg extensions to show the spider spinning web. Circles, leg extensions, okay?
So the hand was just this way.
Just this, and it kept doing this. The creepiness of the spider, how it comes. So the hand just kept doing this, and then the dancer danced, and so there was just elephant and spider dancing. So these are the ways, innovative ways in which you can, I don't know if I call it innovative, but effective ways.
Yes.
Effective ways in which you can get the message across to the audience, so they enjoy it, and they are not trying to figure out what they are doing. And then a friend of mine, Hema Rajagopalan, in Chicago, she created this gesture, which really I want to share with you. So she was asked to do an Indian dance to an African story. And in African story, there was a giraffe. Giraffe is not an Indian animal, and so there is no gesture for giraffe. But she used a gesture that's already in existence, just like I did.
Yeah.
This one.
Okay.
Right? See this movement, and they all like leaped across the stage. The moment they did that, they were all in Bharatanatyam costume, but it looked like a bunch of giraffes were running across the stage. So these are the ways in which hastas are used. Dancers keep creating them and keep using them also.
Thank you, Ramaa, for talking about hastas.